Now, everything which I cover in this video is inspired by these two books, Power versus Force and Letting Go, and my own journey through life. And I thought, you know what, let me just make a big video just explaining everything about emotions, because it's a very taboo topic and it's not really talked about much, especially if you're a man, right? It's not really talked about much. Even if you're a woman, you've been told that, you know what, it's not good to express your emotions. You need to be more masculine. And for men, it's more like you can't display your emotions. You've got to be more masculine. So everyone's pushing you to be more masculine. However, they're not really teaching you how to actually deal with the emotions you're feeling, because you're a human being. And so, of course, you're going to feel emotions, right? You don't need to be ashamed for what you feel, right? Because what you feel is your own subjective experience. And if you dislike your own subjective experience, how are you going to enjoy reality, right? If you can understand and acknowledge your emotions, you have the power of awareness to just go by life in a way which your emotions don't dictate your life, but you dictate your life how you want it to go, right? And so with that being said, I know there's a lot of men, women that are being told that emotions are bad and stuff like that, but you gotta give props to yourself because you clicked on a video about emotions and it's not really a topic that is talked about much. And so with that being said, I know there's a lot of stereotypes on why you shouldn't express your emotions. However, I'm going to give you a framework on how I usually deal with my emotions, and I'm going to help you understand it with better clarity, because I think that it's not really been discussed much in any space, right? And so I hope this video helps you. Without any further ado, let's just jump in. First of all, we need to understand what is an emotion, right? Because a lot of us, we know emotion as, oh, it's sadness, anger, this, that. You know emotions, but however, you don't really know what is an emotion. An emotion is basically E plus motion, which basically means energy, as you can see on the board, energy in motion. And so if I could break it down into very simple terms, it basically means energy moving through your body, right? Because what happens when you feel an intense emotion? You feel there's a lump in your throat, there's feelings in your body, there's tightness in your chest. I can relate to a lot of the situations because these have literally happened to me in the past few months, or even happening to me in the past few days, right? In the past few time frames. And so with that being said, you got to understand that with all of this in mind, emotions to the physical body is just energy which is flowing through you, right? It's just something which is passing by. However, as social creatures, there's been times where we have needed to suppress a certain emotion, or we have been able to express an emotion quite freely, right? And that comes to my point right below there. If emotion is just energy in motion, why do we label some emotions as good, or why do we label some emotions as bad, right? And so what you mainly go understand from this is that we are the ones that are placing meaning on those emotions. However, an emotion is just what it is. It's just your body communicating to you that, you know, something ain't right in this situation. Something isn't not feeling right. If you didn't feel anger in your life, how shitty would you feel? If you were walking down the road and someone just spat on you, right? Wouldn't you want to feel angry in that situation? It's very natural to feel angry in that situation and to like, yo, why'd you spit on my face, and just start punching that person, right? Anger is something beneficial. The way you express anger, however, is not that good, right? And so what you need to understand is that instead of labeling these emotions, all you've got to do is understand them in the first place, right? If there was a sick patient in bed, right? If you had a loved one in hospital and they were in bed and they couldn't really do much, are you gonna go there and be like, yo, get up, man, we got a party, man, come on, man? Are you gonna be like that? Hell no, because that person is not feeling well, right? So when you're feeling emotional, when you're feeling charged by emotion, when you're feeling triggered emotionally, it's the same for you. You shouldn't really let yourself change the mood all of a sudden. All you got to do is, right, to put it simply, just be there with the emotion. And it's the same with the patient or like the loved one in hospital. You don't got to do anything. You just have to be there for them. You don't have to, or you don't have to act like a doctor. Oh, yeah, just this injection, yeah. Like, you don't need to do that, right? And so you just got to be there with the emotion, just like you got to be there with your loved one. What you've got to realize is your emotion is divided into two parts. So when you think about an emotion, you generally think about something that made you emotional, right? But in this case, your emotion is divided into your thought and your feeling. And so what that basically means is that your thought could be, oh, why did she do this? Or he bullied me. And so that is causing me to have the feeling. So you got to realize that the feeling and the thought, right, they are intertwined. However, when you are in the process of letting go, you need to purely focus your attention on the feeling itself, because the feeling is the essence of the energy that you can feel, right? You can't really say it in any language. It's just a feeling. And so a feeling that you feel in your body or in your mind, anything like that, is just the essence of energy. And so when you're in the letting go process, you don't need to focus on the thought of, why did she do this? I hate her so much. Or oh, he bullied me, man. Why did he do this? And so instead of focusing on those thoughts, because when you focus on one thought, right, they grow. If you have one thought of anger, you're gonna have another thought. Oh, I remember when I was young, this kid tried to steal my remote control car or something like that. Like just random thoughts that you had in your past. And if you associate, let's say, anger, you're gonna have a lot of thoughts about anger. So anger, let's take an anger for example, right? If you are feeling anger, what's gonna happen is you're gonna have a million gazillion thoughts about anger. And what will happen is, instead of focusing on the primary feeling of anger itself, you will think about the stuff that makes you angry or the stuff that made you angry in the past, right? And so instead of focusing on that, it's very key that you actually focus on the feeling itself. Instead of focusing on the million different things that make you angry, why don't you just focus on the anger itself? And when you do that process, you will feel this resistance, right? This is cringe or something like that. You're gonna feel that resistance. However, your job is to just feel whatever comes up. So instead of not feeling the cringe or not feeling the resistance, you've got to feel the resistance itself. And it's a process of layers, right? Because your feeling might be here, but you have like layers, and you're not really allowing yourself to heal. When you're feeling your feeling, this is like you're trying to feel the feeling, right? But there's going to be resistances. So what you got to do is just kind of break them by feeling them, right? You've got to feel the resistances so you can actually get to the core root, which is the feeling. And so when you can get to the feeling, what essentially tends to happen is that you see that it kind of diminishes. It's like a battery tank, and the more you kind of use it, it kind of, right? What essentially happens after that is you tend to feel quite relaxed, like you're not run by that program anymore, because you see it for what it is instead of seeing it through the resistances and, oh, I don't like this so much. Now you feel like you've gone to the depths of your mind, and now you can actually feel it, right? And so the main message of what I'm trying to say right now is, instead of hiding emotion, instead of disregarding your emotion, what tends to happen if you disregard something that you're feeling, right? You will put that in your, what essentially happens is your brain will automatically put that in your subconscious mind. And when that happens, you will get certain triggers. And some people get angry real quick, right? Some people get sad really quick. And that is all because they have repressed or suppressed sadness or anger, which is now causing to rise up. And if they don't work on this, it will be more inevitable that sadness or anger will inevitably just rise up again. And so what we are doing with this practice is that we are mainly focusing on the feeling instead of what we can put into language, which is a thought. Instead of us quantifying everything, we just drop everything, right? We just drop. Like, most of us haven't thought this. We can just kind of put things down and then kind of focus on the feeling itself. And so the main core message right now is to just feel the feeling. I'm gonna just write it down. All you mainly gotta do is just that is it. You just got to feel the feeling. And when you do that, you will realize that it doesn't really have control over you now. And now you can actually make some conscious decisions, right? And so when an emotion arises, right, there's usually 3 ways or 4 ways that we deal with that certain emotion. And the way we go about the emotion dictates whether it will stay with yourself or it will go. And so the primary function of emotions is just to leave the body, right? Is through experience that it just kind of flows. And so the first thing that we actually do when an emotion arises is something called suppression, right? I'm just gonna right here. It's something called suppression. Suppression is basically, let's say something arises in your mind, you kind of got to tell yourself, yo, you can't really do this. No, you shouldn't be angry. You push down the feeling of anger. You push down the feeling of sadness. Maybe because it's not socially acceptable. Maybe because you think that I shouldn't really feel these things, so I'm gonna hide it. I'm gonna keep it in myself. And so what you do is you push that feeling inside of you without realizing that feeling will stay with you until you allow yourself to feel it. Now, an example of suppression can be seen through, let's say, you're feeling angry at someone, right? But you can't really do anything about it. You just gotta keep that anger intact within yourself because you can't really express it. You can't really go about and boom, 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 like punch that person in the face or something. You can't really go about showing your sadness to someone who doesn't really care about you. You can't really be vulnerable to someone who's gonna take advantage of your vulnerability, right? And so what you basically understand is suppression is basically hiding that feeling, and sometimes it can be for good reason. Sometimes it's just the way we are. It's just the way we've been conditioned to just, oh, you can't really do that. You just gotta suppress it, right? And another one is repression. Yo, hope my handwriting is readable. Not gonna lie, mate. Second one is repression. Repression is basically you get an emotion so strong that you can't even allow yourself to process it. It just gets dumped in your subconscious mind. And think about how many emotions, how many repressed emotions people are just carrying about when they go to work, when they go to school, when they're out and about. Think about how much turmoil that is causing them to have, right? And all of these things, repression, suppression, is kind of the same, but repression is more so you don't really push it down. It already kind of gets pushed down through your conditioning, right? And so with that being said, the third one is expression. Simple as that. Just expressing whatever you're feeling. Now you can't really see that, can you? The third one is expression, right? You go about expressing that anger. You go about expressing that sadness. You express the joy that you have. And this can be through your behavior. This can be through the way you look, like you're smiling and you're angry, stuff like that. And so these are some of the ways that you deal with it. However, there's a special way where you can actually handle emotion in a way which doesn't really cause for it to go in your subconscious mind or to dictate any of your future actions. And that way is to just allow yourself to experience that feeling and just let go, right? Let go. It's as simple as that. You just need to experience that feeling, and eventually it's like a battery. You just gotta deal with it first, right? And then it will just finish, and then you will feel a much more lighter sense of, it's like a weight lifted off your shoulders, right? It feels like something on your chest that has been pressing onto you for so long has been just removed, and now you can finally breathe. And so that's how it feels if you go about doing all of these things. Now I've got something for you which you will certainly find interesting, right? I'm just gonna pop it there. That is the Chart of Consciousness by Dr. David R. Hawkins. It's called the Chart of Consciousness, right? And you may have seen it before. That basically has all your vibrational states on it. And if you understand quantum physics, do you know that everything in this world is vibrating? Everything in this world is literally vibration. And as Nikola Tesla once said, if you wish to understand the secrets of the universe, you need to think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And if you look at those words, and if you actually look at vibration and stuff like that, you study it, you see that everything calibrates at a certain frequency. This book right here calibrates at a certain frequency. The videos that you watch online, they calibrate at a certain frequency. This video you're watching right now, this calibrates at a certain frequency, right? The people that you hang out with calibrate at a certain frequency. The food that you eat calibrates at a certain frequency. And so what is a higher vibration tends to be more healthier for you, right? It tends to be more healthier for your mind and body. And so what is low vibrational? Let's say it's degenerate music videos, it's junk food, it's toxic people. They keep you on a low vibrational scale. And as you can see, the scale is very complex, right? And so I'm just going to break it down for you so that you can understand it in a much more easier way. And it will be much beneficial for you to understand it in simplicity rather than going about it and learning it in its complex form, right? And so let me just... Now, as you can see, this is the much more easier version for you to digest. And I got this version from a YouTuber, a public speaker called Julian himself, right? You can check him out on YouTube. And so if you look at this chart, right, you'll find something very interesting. The low emotions, right, they calibrate at a much lower frequency, and the high ones calibrate at a much higher frequency, right? And so it just goes up like that. Just it goes up like that. What you got to realize that most people on earth live at like right in these ones. They live in desire, they live in anger, they live in fear. And it's all been by programming. That is just how it is. That's how we've been conditioned as little kids to think and feel. And these are all the suppressed emotions as our collective consciousness, right? Because as a society, we are just been holding these emotions back, and we're not really allowing ourselves to express them or feel them in a way. And so all these emotions, like most people, reside at them. And so I'm just going to give you an example each, right? Desire. People desire something. People desire the best lifestyle. They see Instagram models and they see Instagram influencers and stuff like that. I want to be like that. I want to get the money. I want to get the cars. I want to get this. I want to get hills. And I'm saying, like, all of these things they want to get. Like, I know I'm not saying desire is a bad thing, by the way. However, there's a capacity of you actually feeling the desire and understanding it and pursuing in that way, or you're just mindlessly desiring things which society is telling you to desire, right? Like cars and stuff like that. Like, I'm not really a car person myself, but there's just something which I've picked up on recently around people as well, that I guess cars are nice, but it's not really my thing, you know what I'm saying? Another desire could be, I want to get money, I want to get rich, right? And of course, it's a natural desire to have. Like, I'm not saying anything is wrong with these desires. However, there comes to a point where you go out of yourself. You sell yourself out to make that money. You sell yourself out to experience pleasure in life, right? And so that's basically what I'm saying by this. Anger. How many times have you seen suppressed anger, right? You've probably got suppressed anger for your dad. You probably got suppressed anger for your friend. You don't really see it, right? There could be a situation happened to you a couple of months ago, a few years ago, that had made you angry, but you haven't really talked about it, have you? You've just got it in your mind playing on repeat again and again. And so you haven't really let go of that emotion. Fear. We live in fear all the time, bro. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not talking fear in the sense of a horror movie. I'm just talking it in a sense of fearing what is gonna come, fearing about life. I'm just talking about fearing what's gonna come, fearing life, right? This one is a dangerous one because fear is pushed onto you 24/7. Right now, I'm 18 years old. Most people are scared of what's going to come to the future, right? And of course, I'm kind of scared as well. I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, I'm on here, bro. Like, I'm probably somewhere there, bro. I'm not even going to lie to you. And so, of course, fear is a natural part, but all you got to do is just understand the fear, why it's there, and then just move on, right? Grief and apathy. These are like losing someone, feeling depressed, feeling sad. That is now rampant in our society. You can literally see through social media and stuff like that that is something which is very, very common these days, right? And so what I want you to imagine is all of these people, right? Everyone here, if you're here as well, you can go under the top. You can feel purpose and love. You can feel all of those vibrational states. And the way you feel those vibrational states is by first healing these ones, letting go of these ones. Because if you don't let go of these vibrational states, how are you going to get up there, right? How are you going to get up those vibrational states in the first place if you don't really allow yourself to heal from these ones? And so with that being said, I'm just going to give you like a quick little thing which I've noticed in myself and within people as well. So you got to realize that everyone is going through their own subjective experience, right? Everyone's going through life through their own subjective experience. So someone might be in desire right now, someone might be in purpose, someone might be in fear. So everyone is residing at a certain level of frequency, right? So what happens if you tell someone that is apathy? Apathy basically means you're feeling depressed, right? You can't really do anything more. Like, let's say someone says, oh yeah, you gotta just channel the anger, bro. You gotta go to the gym, lift the weight. Someone in apathy wouldn't listen to that advice, right? So what would you advise the person in apathy? Is to feel bad for their situation, is to make them feel like they are the victim. And if you tell them, you know what, you're going through a situation, you're not actually a victim. You're a victim.
You're a victim.
They're going to think, you know what, I am a victim. And now they're going to feel they're going to move up one level. Yeah, I'm a victim. These people did this to me. This situation happened to me. That happened to me. They're going to feel grief, right? And so when a person is in grief, what do you tell them? And so grief is basically the victim mentality, right? Oh yeah, these things happen to me in my life. It's feeling like those things are controlling you rather than you controlling them. But in reality, it's you controlling your internal world, which then unfolds the reality that you see around yourself right now. And so fear, right? What would you tell someone that goes into grief? You're going to tell them they're a victim and stuff like that. They're going to go into fear. And what does it mean by when you're fear, right? You're going to tell them, oh yeah, you shouldn't be in the situation, man. Like, what's going on and stuff like that. You got to tell them, people in fear, nah, you got to do something about this, man. You got to do something about this, because then that same person is going to move up to anger. Now I'm going to think, yo, I'm actually tired of this. I'm tired of feeling this. What do you tell someone in anger? You got to have some desire. You got to have some end goal to get to. And so naturally that person will get to desire, because now they think, you know what, I got to get to something. And when you have that desire, right, what happens is you enter the upper echelon of emotions. And what that basically means is that from desire, if you don't really control it and you allow yourself to discern between what desires you would like to have, you ultimately move into purpose, right? And purpose, what I'm doing right now is my purpose, right? What I'm doing right now is genuinely what helps me. I've dreamed about this for like the past months and years, of just having a board and just teaching people concepts that I learned. And so when I'm doing something like this, it's not about how many views this has. It's not about how many likes it has. It doesn't matter anyway, right? Because when you're genuinely doing something, you move into love. And love is basically not about romantic love and stuff like that. It's much more broader and it's much more unifying than just about love and romantic or even family, right? Love, in a sense, is just having this realization that your natural default state is love, right? Did you come into this planet? Let me ask you a question. Did you come on into this planet, right, feeling sad, depressed, anxious? No. If you look at your childhood pictures, pull up any childhood picture that you have of yourself, right? You're going to be the smiley kid, right? You're not going to be like in any of those pictures. You're going to be like smiling and stuff like that. Everything is fun because you're in that childlike spirit. And it's not that is not there anymore. It's just that has been suppressed, just like I've been saying. If that childhood spirit is suppressed and hidden, then you won't really find a way to enjoy life. You won't really find a way to experience everything, because the natural state that you are born with is love and joy, and these emotions are merely toned down because of social conditioning, or you've been told that they are bad to express. What naturally happens then is people move into the lower levels, and when you move into the lower levels, you don't really understand. You think that, yeah, this is normal, right? It's not normal. However, if you're feeling that, it is okay. And so you don't really need to tell yourself, I'm a bad person for feeling these things, because yo, I feel these things too. It's not only you, or it's not only the people around you that are feeling these things. I feel them too. And so you got to understand that even though you're going through so much stuff, you just got to accept those emotions and they will automatically just go. And by the way, this shouldn't be your end goal, right? Because throughout your day, you will cycle through all of these. However, you got like an average for maybe a month or maybe a day that you feel somewhere between here or somewhere between here, right? So all you got to realize is that you need to pinpoint, where am I? The way you do that is merely by listening to what thoughts you have when you're doing certain things, right? Is to be aware of the thoughts you have rather than being the thinker, being someone that is in their mind. You got to just step outside or just look at your mind through a much broader perspective. Instead of being the thinker, you gotta be the observer of the thinker, right? Another concept which you gotta understand about life, right, is ebbs and flows. Ebbs and flows is basically something like this, right? It just boom, 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 boom. Now, what is this? These are ebbs and flows, and this is when you think that life is going good, you're happy and stuff, yay, and this is when life is not going that good. You know what I'm saying? This one is like, yeah, I'm so happy. This one is like, oh, I'm sad, bro. Like, what's going on? What's going on? These are like that, right? It's basically the ups and downs of life. And so what you got to realize is that everyone has these ups and downs. It's not just you that has been going through the up and down. motion for the past few years of your life, because it's just common, and that is how life works. Imagine if everything went well. Imagine if everything went perfectly how you wanted. Imagine everything went well, everything went perfect. It wouldn't really be that enjoyable, would it? Life wouldn't be that enjoyable. If you're playing with cheat codes, right, a game, for 10 minutes it's fun, but then after that it's like, yo, I'm kind of bored, man. I want to play a different game, or I don't want to play it at all. So what you got to realize with this is that someday you'll be fine, someday you'll be bad. But you got to realize that is not you. This line in the middle is your consciousness. It is the observer of the good events and the bad events. The mere fact, listen to me when I say this, the mere fact that you can see that you are going through a good time or you're going through a bad time means that you are neither the good time nor are you the bad time. You are just someone that observes the good time or the bad time happen. And so when you step back from this and when you look at it from this perspective of you being the consciousness, you see that, you know what, this is me, this line is me, and I'm just observing those patterns happen without any judgment towards them, without any resentment or without any harsh feeling towards them. And so when you are in that state, that is basically called disidentification from what you're going through. And when you look at it from that way, you don't really identify with the sadness, you don't really identify with the happiness, because you got to realize that you are not these fleeting moments that pass by. What's common between the good moments, the bad moments, the sad moments, the angry moments, the emotional moments? What's common between all of those? It's this line. It is your consciousness. It is the mere fact that you can be aware of those good times or bad times happening, right? Basically, what you got to do is see that it is not that serious, right? The mere fact that you can observe the good time or the bad time happen, it's kind of enjoyable, right? Like, I can actually see what is going on, right? And so you got to understand that you are neither the good time nor the bad time. You are just pure consciousness looking at the good time, looking at the bad time. And you are not that. You are that which looks at the good time or the bad time. And so with that being said, everyone goes through ebbs and flows. It's not just you that is going through a bad time. It's not just you going through a bad time. If you're going through a good time right now, best believe the next thing that will follow is a bad time. Does that mean it's a bad thing? No, it doesn't. It just means your life is taking a natural path, right? It just means that some days are going to be good, some days are going to be bad.
Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit.
But I'm not really affected by that because I'm not identified with the good time. I'm not identified with the bad time. And so when you understand that, it's much more easier to not get so deeply rooted in your suffering. It's much more easier to not get deeply so stuck up in what you're feeling and stuff like that, right? And so that's all you got to understand. And to really help you understand it, I've got two quotes, one from the Bible, one from the Quran. And so, wait, let me just pull them up right here. In Psalm 18, verse 28, it says, "My God turns darkness into light." And in the second surah, in verse 286 in the Quran, it says that Allah doesn't burden the soul beyond that it can bear, right? And so what you can understand from these two statements is that whatever you're going through, you are not alone going through it. And with that being said, you're not alone going through it. Plus, God, or whatever you believe in, the universe or anything, I'll say God knows you're suffering, and he doesn't want you to go through that much suffering that you can't bear. So the mere fact that you are going through something so tough right now means that God knows how much powerful you are. And you got to realize as well, God tests his strongest soldiers with the toughest battles. And so you just got to be like grateful for that. Yo, like, I'm one of God's toughest soldiers, right? And so when you understand that, you understand that the reason why you're going through hardship is because your creator loves you. Your creator loves you, and that is the reason why you're going through all these hardships, right? What I mean by that is, yeah, God wants you to go through tough times to learn some new lessons and to see the essence of life from the bad to the good. And so what you basically understand from that is, even though you're sad or happy, you just got to be having that feeling of gratitude that you are even able to experience that thing, right? Because if you are more grateful for experiencing the happy times, best believe there will be more happy times. If you're grateful for going through these tough times, best believe you are going to be rewarded for that, right? So the more you sort of be grateful for even feeling the bad emotions or even feel the good ones, even both of them, right? If you are grateful that you can just experience them, you will just move your vibrational state up. Like I previously said, your vibration will, it will go like that. And so with that being said, all you got to understand is that you are not the good time, you are not the bad time. You are just the observer of a good time. You're just the observer of a bad time. And you are not the one thinking thoughts about that good time or bad time. You are merely witnessing the good time or the bad time. You are merely witnessing the thoughts of a good time or a bad time, right? And so with this process of looking at things from a much broader perspective, you will understand that, you know what, it's not actually that serious, and it's just all calm. I don't need to go about life in this restricted, constricted sort of way. All I got to do is just move in the direction which I am going in. And whether the times are good, whether times are bad, everything will be okay. Another major misconception about emotions is that external things make you feel angry, right? Excuse my bad drawing, but let's say you just get into a car crash and you get pissed off, right? You're like, yo, why did you crash my car, man? What's wrong with you, right? You get into your headspace of anger. However, you got to realize that it's not the situation that caused your anger. It's the thought that you had anger within you and now it's just showing up when it needs to, right? And so when you hold on to suppressed or repressed anger, it will show itself in situations like this. It will show itself in if it creates opportunities for it to show itself, right? And these are opportunities where you can practice letting go. However, right now we're going to talk about what does it mean if you actually go through that sort of situation. Let's say there's a car crash, right? Not like a serious one, but sorry, you break someone's bumper or something. You get into that car crash. Just know that the feelings that you're feeling have always been inside of you, and now they're merely seeking an outlet to let themselves out. And so basically what we've got to understand, right, is that this is your brain, right? You always got something inside. You've always got the pain, the anger, the joy. They are in your subconscious, right? And what happens is when something happens on the outside, when something happens in the external world, like some events happens, or these emotions then want to manifest themselves. These emotions then tend to show themselves for what they are. And the more you allow yourself to feel them, the more they kind of just dissipate. And so they don't really tend to create some external world scenario. The more you cling onto those emotions, the more you hold onto those emotions, the more likely they are to unfold in reality. And so just with that thought, right, if you hold something in your mind, it will tend to unfold in reality. I will just give you like a quick diagram right here. Let's say that stick man is you, right? And you have all of these emotions, right? You've got anger inside of you. You've got joy inside of you. You've got grief inside of you. It's not conscious, it's all subconscious, right? You're not really thinking about grief all day. However, it is still in your subconscious, right? You can't really pick it out and just show it. You gotta realize that all these emotions, all about joy, anger, grief, all of these emotions, they want to show themselves for what they are. And these are opportunities where you can see that you've been emotionally triggered and you can now allow yourself to feel those emotions. And so with that being said, anger, you will just create a scenario where there's anger. Joy, you will create scenarios where there is joy. Grief, you will create scenarios where there's grief. Why do people push positive thinking so much? Because if you think more positive thoughts, if you think more positive thoughts about yourself and the people around you or the environment around you, you receive things, right, in the environment that will signal back to you, yeah, this is actually quite joyful. This is actually quite nice. It's the same with gratitude, right? Gratitude is basically expressing your joy, expressing what you are feeling, because you will see that there will be more moments of feeling grateful for things, and the feeling of gratitude will amplify because what you focus your attention on, what you put your attention on, tends to grow, right? Whether you're putting your attention on something that is not going well in your life, chances are that situation which is not going well in your life will tend to amplify. If you're putting your attention on, let's say, something which you don't like, that something that you don't like will tend to grow. If you put your attention on something about gratitude, yeah, I'm grateful for this board, I'm grateful for the vest that I'm wearing, I'm grateful for the t-shirt, I'm grateful that I can even record this video, you will see that more things are given to you. The more grateful you are, the more things you will get in return. And so with this thing, I've done gratitude journaling, right? Some practice where you basically write down things which you are grateful for, or you can just write like a massive letter to someone who you're close with. You can just send them, or either just keep it to yourself, right? And I've done that with like my cousins and my friends. I've sent it to my... No, actually, I haven't sent any of those. I think I just sent one to my dad, but that's about it. Now, here is an interesting diagram which I've just created on my own. And what it basically entails is the process of where you have emotions and how you create scenarios that pull out the same emotions out of you, right? What you've got to understand is if you don't let go of an emotion, what essentially happens is that you will tend to manifest the emotion in reality. You will create scenarios unconsciously, and it will entail that same emotion that you may have felt in the past. If you don't really go on this journey of healing and letting go of emotions, what essentially will take place is that your emotions will create an unconscious scenario for them to manifest. And so this has been happening to me for the past while, right? When I was growing up, right, I always struggled with anxiety, and it had taken a toll on me to the point where I used to get like panic attacks and stuff like that. And when I was telling people around me that, you know what, I kind of feel anxious and stuff like that a certain way, they used to look at me and they used to, you're weak, they just used to like put me down. So what that basically created was this sense of an insecure attachment style. And what that basically means is when you're in a partnership with someone, let's say it's a friend or like a romantic relationship, what basically tends to happen is I don't really tend to have this strong sense of connection. I feel anxiety when with the other person. Let's say they do the slightest micro expression of like just like a fake smile. I'm gonna be like, yo, why did you fake smile at me? Do you not like me anymore? Like, I'm gonna have those thoughts in my head, right? And so that is just what happened. And so just because I didn't heal that attachment style, right? Just because I didn't do that, now I'm creating scenarios which are now giving me the opportunity to heal that emotion, right? Because I want you to realize this: whenever you're having a tough time or like a challenge, don't treat it as a problem, because as you can see from my mindset, I don't really treat that stuff as a problem. I just view it as an opportunity to solve, right? And if you really look at yourself and say, it's not really something that phases me, it's just an opportunity to heal what I haven't healed yet, right? And so what happens, right? Your emotions want to come out naturally. Naturally, your emotions want to come out. However, what happens is you start creating scenarios where those emotions now have the opportunity to show themselves to you, right? And so how does this happen? How do you create scenarios? It's through your vibrational states. So what essentially tends to happen is that when you are creating scenarios, you are creating scenarios using this energy around you. And the energy is your vibrational state. If you have looked into quantum physics, you will know that everything in the world is vibration. If you looked at the words of Nikola Tesla, he said that if you wish to understand the secrets of the universe, you need to look at everything in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And so what I mean by your vibrational state is that it is what you wear. I'm not saying it is what you wear in terms of the clothes and stuff. It is what your energy is like, right? It is your energy. Your vibrational state is basically your energy. And when your energy is of a lower level, you will attract things which are of a lower level to you. If you are vibrating at a higher frequency, which basically means that you're thinking some positive thoughts, you're in the right mood, you have that energy inside of you, you will create scenarios which are generally more positive, right? And so what this whole cycle is showing you is that your emotions naturally want to come out, so they will create scenarios using your vibrational state. And then what happens is that another scenario is created, you go back up and another emotion builds up. And so to break the cycle of your emotions want to come out, so you create scenarios through your vibrational state, all you have to do is you just need to look at it from here first, right? If you are now aware, now you have watched this section, you know that, you know what, I will obviously create scenarios, and you know of this model right now, you're already ahead of most people. You know what will trigger you emotionally, and you know what will be created. And so what happens basically is now you have the awareness, you have the bird's eye view of what happens, right? Because most people, they are not aware of this, and you are aware of it. So you gotta be kind of happy for yourself, right? And so when you realize that, all you have to do now is to understand that naturally emotions want to come out, and I will create scenarios, and these scenarios now become opportunities. These scenarios now become opportunities for you to let go. I've heard this from a talk somewhere though. Whenever you have an opportunity, right, all you have to do in that situation is let go of that certain emotion, because what's happening is your body and your mind and your soul is telling you, you know what, there's this reservoir of emotion just popping up. You might want to let go of it. Now you got to understand is that, the reason emotions come up is because I want to let go. And when you let go of it, once your vibrational state was of negativity, of just feeling sad and depressed and blah, 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 and attracting those negative scenarios of anger and stuff like that, those repressed emotions, what will not happen is you will just attract more of those positive ones. And by no means is this some wishy-washy stuff, because I'm literally talking about something which I have experienced, right? And so when you look at it from this way, everything that you will see in your vicinity is through your vibrational state, is through how you view the world. And I've made a full in-depth guide on vibration. You can check it out in the in-depth guide playlist I've made. And so with that being said, all you got to do is you've got to find the opportunity, right? And then when you got the opportunity, let go. And the way you let go basically is by just placing your attention, placing your focus on the feeling that has come up. The feeling that has come up needs to be let go of. You don't need to think about the thoughts that you had prior to that feeling, right? You don't need to think about what caused the feeling, what happened in order to you having that feeling, right? Don't think about that, because that is not important. What is important is the feeling itself. And you can't really label the feeling, can you? You can't be like, oh, sadness, oh, anger. Because we are complex, right? What you are feeling is subjective to you, and it is your own unique experience. I want you to listen to me right now when I say this. What you feel, whether that be anger, sadness, boom, 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 anything, it is your own subjective experience. And so you can't really compare it to someone else's anger or someone else's pain, because they had to go through different things. They had different context on why they are feeling that way, and it is purely subjective to their experience. And so what you are feeling right now is purely subjective to your experience. And so you don't need to judge it, label it, or say it's bad or it's good, because it just is. When you look at it from a much broader perspective, it just is. There's no attachment to it. There's no, it's my thought, it's I'm thinking this. No, it just is, right? You're just looking at the thought, you're just looking at the feeling. And so the more you place your attention on the feeling itself, the feeling will start to dissipate, because now you're allowing yourself to feel the emotion. And so with that being said, thank you for watching this whole full in-depth guide which I've made for you. Be sure to like and comment whatever your thoughts are. And yeah, I'm really proud of myself to like make this whole video, do you know what I mean? But there's gonna be a link in the description which is gonna be like one-on-one consultation. What that basically means is we can work together in order to assess the situation that you're in, and we can work through it together, right? But yeah, I've just been having a lot of fun making these long videos on topics which I love to talk about. So yeah, I hope you gain value from this, and I'll see you in the next one.